Make sure we have audio. Yeah, let's wing it.
All right, let's wing it.
So we did basically what's up right now is we're going to have had an episode that talks about what we're hoping to do with this project. I think the very first episode that got posted was a little bit of mindset and philosophy around 1 rep max days in the gym, which some of that information was going out to our members. And in doing that, I was like, I'm recording it anyway, so let's just put it out there. So it's a kind of a weird place to start, but I think one of the things that we want to talk about is why in the world did we open a CrossFit gym? And we should probably introduce ourselves a little sooner than we did on our other podcast. I think it took us the 30 episodes to so just talk a little bit more about who we are and why we decided to open a gym and what kind of our messaging is within our space. And we'll go from there. So you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, Jack,
Dr. J.
start this. Yeah. So I'm Dr. James. I am also 10 years into practice as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Seriously?
I am 10 this year.
Oh, I just throw numbers out there as far as how long I've been doing this until somebody reminds me I've been using the same number for 3 or 4 years. Anyhow, I guess that's where we're at. So I've been practicing for a little while. We practice a unique style of the medicine, which we get into more on Shin and Shenanigans episode version A, a podcast version A, either way. How far down this road do you want me to go? You want me to talk about where we were at?
I figure we should probably just skip our names. And
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So Dr. Devin, also doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. This year will actually be my 10th year doing clinical work. It's been a cool journey with that. We do a lot of the physical work, but the life work is really where the heart of our practice is at, and helping people with anxiety, depression, PTSD, trauma recovery. And so I always joke with people, that's our day job, right? We see patients Monday through Thursday, and that's the bulk of the work that we get to do. And then I'm also the head coach at Middle Path. We're coming up this month will actually be a year that we've been officially open, which is exciting to hit that 1 year mark. We soft launched about 3 or 4 months before that. The building that we're in now was such a project for us. We quite literally put up the walls. We did everything within the space. It's cool to hit a year already within this. And at the same time, it feels so long. Yeah, so we're acupuncturists. I've been coaching CrossFit since 2020. I started CrossFit in 2019 back in South Carolina, which is where we were living, at a gym that was just starting opening up. Shout out to CrossFit Taylors. Almost exactly a year later, had an itch to go get my level 1. When I originally made that decision, it was more of just a curiosity around studying it for myself. I had definitely my background as a softball player. I had always loved sports and the athletics challenge. It wasn't really my intention to get back into anything competitive. We had heard of it, but nothing. I don't remember hearing anything big one direction or the other. It wasn't really within our world with where we were at the time. But I had always done weightlifting at like 13, 14, training for softball and all of the things. And I had always loved weightlifting. And so when we got started with CrossFit, it was just this weird itch that I hadn't really felt in a while. That was like, oh, like this could be fun. It could be something for me to pour myself into as far as just having a hobby that wasn't me being at work. And it was great. And I loved to keep harping on the name that we chose, but I loved the refinement part of it. It was, you learned something, you weren't very good at it when you started. And it was like, okay, how can I get better? And loved the details and a lot of that. And so by 2020, I had just decided I wanted to get my level 1, just really to increase my own understanding of what it was that we were doing and learning. And truthfully, I had no interest in coaching. That wasn't really on my radar. I just wanted to learn more. And so I got my level 1 in February, and then the world shut down in March. By the time everything opened back up in like June, July, I got an opportunity to start coaching. And thankfully, I had somebody that didn't mind me just being around and creeping around. And if I wasn't at work treating patients, I was at the gym, um, taking classes or just watching and asking questions and learning what I could learn. And the more coaching that I did, the more I really just fell in love with it from it became a new outlet for me. And so, yeah, I coached and trained at the same gym basically until we decided to move out here, which would have been what, spring of 22. What I really appreciated about it was the culture that they were building at CrossFit Taylor's was when you showed up, it was just a lot of everyday people getting together, working out, moving their bodies, getting healthier, getting stronger. It wasn't a really intense thing. It was just a form of fitness that if you wanted to push yourself, you absolutely could. And if you just wanted to show up and move your body, there was no push one direction or the other for it to be more than that. And everyone was getting better, getting stronger. And it was just really cool to see the community that was being built. Um, and it was something I wasn't really expecting to get out of CrossFit. You could have done anything, right? Like, you could have just gone to the gym, you could have done and some people, their stories, right? They had different experiences and exposures with it, and other people were just talked in, and he did a really good job with social media, which I think made people feel safe to come in because they just saw, again, kind of everyday people in the gym working out, doing these things. There was a big priority on learning the movement that wasn't about the weight on the bar, which again, I think helps people just feel more comfortable. And so as you hear those stories, it was cool. And after they had been there a while, you could watch and people would share, like, I just feel more confident, just feel it wasn't even just physically stronger, but it was mentally, and they're handling things in life better and differently. And it was cool to watch it happen and with a tool that is the same thing that I hear a lot of times from our work with in the acupuncture world. And so I had a couple different moments that happened back to back where I got an opportunity to work with a couple people that I trained, a couple athletes that I was training, patients. Yeah, I had a couple patients that ended up transitioning into the gym. And it was neat to see the 2 feed each other in a way that we were able to do the light work and have all the conversations in the extra space and help them feel a little healthier and then watch them do really cool things in the gym. The one that did it for me was, I had somebody that I worked with who they had a lot of life stuff going on at the time. And I'll never forget it because it was the moment that I knew that if and when we were talking about moving at the time, nobody knew that. But when we were gonna move, it was the thing that was like, I wanna open a gym, and I wanna do this for people and merge it in our own way." And this particular person, I knew their history from treating them as a patient, and there was a lot of mental, emotional turmoil, and primary was some trauma recovery. And we had a conversation about all of that. We're in a place where everything was trending in the right direction, and there were just these days where I noticed how they placed themselves in the gym varied day to day. There was, like, 2 or 3 spots that you could find them, always consistently the same spots. But the notice was, "Why today are we in the back of the room and we're hiding and tucked away," and all of the things. And I remember having a conversation at their next appointment, and what was expressed to me was that there are some days, depending on the workouts, that if my heart rate gets too high, it triggers my PTSD. And so I choose the spot that I choose because I feel safer, but I'm also far enough away that nobody can see that it's happening if it happens. And it completely changed how I coached this person. And it wasn't a like, "Hey, you don't need to be in the back of the room." It was a, now I know that if that is where you position yourself, you're having a rough day, right? And that workout may tip you over and it may not, but that was the thing that they needed to feel safe in those moments. And it also gave me the perspective on those days to communicate, look, if this is what this means for you, maybe today's the day that we shouldn't necessarily, let's not scratch at the edges that may tip you over, right? And just honor the fact that we don't feel great today and we're feeling kind of on the edge of the being triggered. And let's just move our bodies, take care of our physical body, but let's take care of our headspace today. And it changed everything going forward, both in the treatment room and coaching. And it was the moment that I knew when we moved that, "Ah, damn, we're gonna have to open a gym." Like, and we have, and here we are. Um, Definitely bigger stories to tell, but I think that that has been the journey with coaching. And I know there are always people in our lives that are, um, like why? Like, we've got we have a tendency to take on all these big projects, right? And it's like, why do you need to run another business? And it's not really, it wasn't really about the gym. It wasn't, we wanted to do the same work we were already doing, but using different tools. And so this project has been a cool way to expand the work that we're already
I think the abbreviated version is the
doing.
overlap that we see.
Mm.
There's a concept within our Chinese medicine realm of, you'll probably hear us saying this a lot if you listen to any of the rest of our podcast, the idea of yang sheng, and it being about these tools that we have to nourish us and make us a complete person, whole and happy and living a nourished life, basically. And I remember the early conversations about opening a gym, and I'm all for it. Yeah, let's do it. Like, why not? If it's, yeah. And I could watch and listen to the stories around where you were recognizing the overlap in the work. We always made the joke that CrossFit was our kung fu. It is the piece of the physical piece of nourishing ourselves in a way, nourishing our bodies, our physical bodies in a way that we need to be moving to be healthy. And it seems extreme to some people, but we've also always joked about the idea that if you're from the outside looking in at this thing and you're like, what are they doing now? I We've also stayed steadfast in the idea that while the tools may seem completely unrelated, like the message underlying all of the work is the same. Like, we're trying, it's the Yangsheng piece. This is the physical movement piece of how do we help people be the best versions of themselves? Doesn't have to be extreme. That's why it's middle path. It doesn't have to be crazy or chaotic, but it is a piece that I think is important. And yeah, different things come up. You see the same things come up. And to create a space where we can hold space for all of that. And we're not in the gym doing all the heavy mental, emotional, psychoanalyzing anybody. But it's neat to be a doctor
Are still
of,
just deadlifting.
oh shit. It's neat to be a doctor of acupuncture doing the work that we do with people and the life work and being able to, at the very least, be aware in the room, whether anybody else is aware of it or not, whether they're aware of it or not, recognizing the value add that this piece has been able to layer in for patients, for the ones that we do the work with on that level as well, but also coming at it from a perspective that's not about anything other than how do we help you move your body and how do we help you refine that and how do we help you get your squats a little deeper. But the overlap between the two has been an interesting conversation. And yeah, from the outside looking in, especially when we've only been here 3 years, it was a 5-year plan. And historically, 5-year plans usually get accomplished within the first 3 years. Not the goal or the objective, but it's just how it turns out. And I think it's a beautiful space that we're operating at. And it's exactly where it needs to be right now. And I think it's a neat transition and a neat expression of the message that we share in the treatment room, just through the physicalness of it and watching people and the community that it grows and all of the sort of stuff it's been fun to watch happen. And it's been a part of We've been talking about it for a while. And I'm going to use the term of the other 85, but that will be a conversation we'll have at some point about, I suppose we can have it
Well, I
now.
was gonna say, I think we can get into that.
So I remember an early conversation. So all the herbs behind us, we had a dispensary of Chinese medicine pharmacy in Greenville as well. And at the end of the day, we would sit on the counter and probably talk for too long. And another year and a half, 2 years, we was planning on moving and all of the plans and how is that going to work out and all of the things and what ifs. And I remember sitting there talking about the idea of opening a gym. And I remember thinking, like, you know what? As crazy as CrossFit looks sometimes, if you Google it and you end up in a place on the internet that is, you're watching these athletes who are amazing, do these amazing things, which we absolutely love to watch, that can be intimidating for people. And we can use all the cliches and we can use all the language and we can say all the right things to tell you it's adaptable and it's all we're going to modify it. We're going to tell you everything that all the other CrossFit boxes are going to tell you. And at the end of the day, the person in front of you has to find some courage and trust and all of that to take a deep breath and try it or not. But if they do, so the theory in that first conversation we had way back when was, and I've completely made the number up, but the idea was only 15% of the population is probably brave enough to walk into a CrossFit gym the first time and say, let's do this because of how intimidating it can be. And if you go down the rabbit holes, it hurts people and all the things. Then it's all BS. Your chiropractor will tell you shouldn't be deadlifting. BS. All of it. You shouldn't be all of it. It's just BS. And the
Those
reality of it,
conversations are coming too.
yeah. The reality of it is we thought maybe 15% of the people that would see it would be there. You know what? That looks like fun. Let's go do that. Um, and the idea was when we decide to build the box, what if we built one for the other 85% of the people? What if we build it for the people who are too intimidated to walk into a normal box, no matter how great the normal box is? What if we built one where the other 85% of the crowd would be, oh, I could try that. Or look at that woman. That looks like something. If she can do it, I can do it. And what if we build it with that mindset? What if we develop coaches that were also of that mindset so that when you were here, and that's the space we're holding. And we've got people here that's been doing CrossFit for 15 years
Yeah.
and they're crushing it. They're hitting markers that they haven't hit before. They're absolutely loving the programming and all that sort of stuff. And we had an 85-year-old start last week who's squatting about 5 inches to a box with a PVC pipe, not a PVC. She did a training bar last week, and this week we put 5 pounds on it. And it's fantastic. And she's enjoying it, and she's not in agony. And we're just working through it, and she's just moving her body again and it's getting stronger. And what if that was what CrossFit was? I think it's what CrossFit's supposed to be. I think that's what CrossFit wants to be.
I think it's been really interesting watching you guys as our coaching interns go through studying the level one again. It's been a nice review, reminder of what the original messaging is, what CrossFit is. And I believe in the methodology or we wouldn't be CrossFit affiliate, right? And I think the thing that gets lost and missed in translation to the public is the separation between CrossFit, the methodology, and CrossFit, the sport. And I think people can participate in both if they want. But a lot of what is found on the internet and what is seen, whether that's, I'm going to say Google, social media, any of it, a lot of it that comes through is the sport and it's the competitive side of it. It's the push and the drive and it's the crazy workouts and it's the getting the first muscle up and it's getting all of these things. And it's beautiful, wonderful for people to celebrate and to work towards and to achieve. We've had members that got their first pull up. We're getting some double unders on accident now. And it's great. And at the heart of what we are trying to do most of the time in class is we're teaching the methodology. I want you moving safe and I want you working on range of motion and learning the movements before we start getting too heavy. And when you go, again, watching you guys go through this, we say it and we teach it and we talk about it, but then to see it again and just be reminded of consistency, mechanics before intensity, all of these things that are like, yeah, they've said it, I heard it, I got it. But I think the thing that's missing is how hard it is to communicate that to members and to prospective people who are coming in that may be interested in doing CrossFit, because we do fall into the trap of the cliches of everything can be modified, everything can be scaled. We use the word modified a lot in our space versus scaled because we'll get all turned around. The 84-year-old doesn't understand scaling, so we say modify, right? And how do we help people understand that it's not if you wanna get upside down in your head, great, if but ultimately, it's about shoulder stability and body control, right? If we need to be able to pick things up off the ground, we need to be able to pick things up off the ground and get them to our shoulders, and all of that is coming through in these movements, and I think it's weird. CrossFit is doing a better job since we've been in, I think, of trying to come through with the lifestyle piece, right? And it is about the 84-year-old having longevity and all of these things. But we say it so quick and so in passing that it's like, but what does that actually mean? And are we as coaches truly living that in a way that we're not just saying it and scaling them and turning around and then watching and looking at something else? Are we helping them to understand the journey? And I know that is probably some of this, I think I even said this in the Max Day video that like some of this is it might be too much information for our members. And at the same time, I love the fact that we have created a community that's genuinely interested in understanding why they're doing what they're doing and not just because coach said, because it's the thing that allows us to slow them down so that when they're outside of here and they go to pick up something weird or move something, that they're thinking about it. Our community is looking for that lifestyle and wellness intervention. And I mentioned earlier where we came from. I think we always did a really good job of that at Taylor's. And it was cool to watch people progress. And there were a lot of skills that I've never had in my athletic history that I learned how to do through CrossFit. I was doing handstand push-ups and pull-ups and different things. It's not an old skill set that I got back to. That is strength and fitness that I did not have before I started that is there. And we can't underestimate or we can't overestimate where people's starting lines are. And I think that is the trick. And it's our responsibility as coaches to keep them safe and be honest with them about where they are. You mentioned our newest member, right? Yeah, she's only squatting 5 inches. She can't squat 6. That's where we're at. 6 creates pain, so let's get her strong through 5 with a little bit of load, get her a little stronger. Get her steadier on her feet, and we're absolutely not gonna load up that barbell, but it's also nice not to have to come in every day and move a PVC pipe, and so we get to pick and choose what that is. We have another member who is officially been with us a year that started exactly where this member is now. And she just squatted full range of motion with 70 pounds on her back to start. She's probably what, 10, maybe 15 years younger. She's
Maybe.
in her
Yeah.
60s. And when she came to us, she's dealing with the knee injury, then it's trying to avoid any sort of knee replacement. And she's stronger, steadier, more stable, and it has taken us a year of consistently showing up, and this past week when we maxed our back squat, she squatted 70 pounds to depth, and she started squatting 5 inches, right? That's the progress the journey that she's been on. Will the other one get there? We don't know. We just start and honor where they're at, and both of these ladies would have never walked into a CrossFit gym, wrong or indifferent. The one of them, I knew her in other ways, and it we had to talk her in, and I had to bribe her in to try a couple classes, and I was like, "Hey, no harm, no foul. If you don't enjoy it, you're not gonna hurt my feelings," all of these things. but it's not what you think it is. And you're going to go home and you're going to Google, give me an opportunity to show you what CrossFit is and can be. And as much as we joke about we do things our own way, I think we do it right. I'll plant that flag. We do it right. We probably do it slower than we're probably on the I think I'm getting better about that, but I think when we first started, I'm on the overly cautious side. But I would much rather be overly cautious with the 60-year-olds and the 80-year-olds and the 50-year-old than not be and try to empower them out to do all of these things, and then they get hurt, and it just validates the fear that they already had when they came in the first place. And so when we the front of our shop, this is our lobby, right? So when people walk into our gym, what they see is a T-shop, which in some ways is super helpful. It makes it a little less scary. We didn't do that on purpose. It's just how the space built out. We've had 3 or 4 people come in over the last year that are like, "I was expecting ropes hanging from the ceilings and big tires at the corners and all of the things," and that's not to say that we won't have big tires and ropes at some point, but it is such a softer entrance, and then you get them in there and you get to show them they're capable of more than they realize they are, but you can't do that if they don't make it in the door. And so talking about that 85%, and it's helpful when you get on Instagram and you see the 84-year-old squatting, right? It makes you feel a little more, "She can do it," than, like, "I could at least try," right? And we have one of our members just he deadlifted 400 pounds. So we're not just building a gym for we love our cute old ladies, right? But we have people in here that are we had another athlete just back squat 200 pounds. And I think that's the part that I'm excited to see where our community goes, because while we're catering 85%, we have our athletes are CrossFit athletes, and they're doing it well, they're staying safe, they're showing up, they're moving better, they're progressing. And I would say that most of our members would not have walked into another CrossFit gym. And so I don't it's not an intentional bait and switch, but I like to get in here. I like that they get in here, they feel safe enough to try, and they stick around because we're backing up everything that we're saying with good coaching and keeping them safe. Yeah.
I think, I think one thing worth mentioning with regards to the young lady who recently squatted to full depth with 70 pounds on her back. She also, in the knee injury, was about avoiding knee replacement. And she didn't want to have the surgery because she didn't want to miss ski season. And I think it's important to point out that a year later, squatting to full depth with the strength that she's gained and the stability that she's gained, she got to fully enjoy ski season this year. She skied a lot this winter. Ultimately, the philosophy around here is I made the joke about not getting to the games. No, I want you to get to life. I want you to go hike. I want you to get to go ski. I want you to pick your grandbabies up. We had a lady that was with us a while back who come in after 3, 4 weeks of it, super excited because she got to get down on the floor with her littles and enjoy and she's being able to get up off the floor and all of the things. Because ultimately, all of this is about how are we doing life? And I think we got to make sure that we don't lose that in our message as we tell people how good we are at coaching.
We tell people all the time, whether it's our members, right? Or people who are coming in for tea on the weekends or our patients, that the whole reason we're doing what we're doing is I want you to show up here and get stronger and feel better so that you can live the life that you want outside of here. And we tell our patients that, like, I want you to be progressing in a way that you don't need me so you're living the life that you want to be living. And yeah, mentioning getting back to and like there's I see the meme go around. It's a lot of the coaching groups of a reminder that the CrossFit gym's not supposed to consume your life, which I always get a little chuckle because now we own a gym and it's part of our life. Um, but for most people that are coming in, They're not trying to CrossFit so that they can keep doing CrossFit. They're trying to CrossFit so that they can feel better at work. And yeah, like you said, get on and off the floor with the kids or the grandkids. And those types of things are, if we never have a muscle up that happens in our space, like I'm good with that, right? Because they're just feeling great in life. And that is, again, it's something that gets said, and I think it gets said unintentionally in passing that it's peace that is missed and we celebrate it and move on. But I think because of our clinical hats, we recognize the bigness in those moments that it means more to them. I hope as coaches, that it means more to them than you'll ever know. And it'll be the thing that is the spark of getting the first double under and the first whatever will fade a lot faster. But the ability to go do the things that you never thought you could do will leave a bigger impact on them. And yeah, I'm not sure this was the 85% covers. I think
All
it
right.
was. I
It's
don't
all
know.
right.
It's
It'll get revisited. I think it was a good
yeah,
talk. I think it's,
it's just it's so cool. Part of this was also like why a CrossFit gym. And yeah, I love coaching. I I would love to have small network of dudes. We need more dudes in our space. But I love watching females lift, right? I think that's something that I came up with it. We started lifting 13, 14, and it was just part of a norm. I didn't realize how much of a not norm that was until I started coaching. And you get to hear the stories of, and everyone, I don't want to get too big, or I was told that I shouldn't, or the littles, it's always stunting growth, right? There's all the myths out there around some of that fitness stuff. But it's cool when you got I never thought I would be doing this. They've never touched a barbell in their entire lives, and here we are teaching them how to lift weights. It's just really cool. And the community piece you mentioned it's fun to watch them connect in other ways that they would have never met otherwise. We got a group right now that just discovered they're all into birds, so they're gonna go bird watching together, which is as the person, when we made the joke in the gym recently, that we've got a lot of, like, bird enthusiasts in our gym that I didn't know, and for me, I'm like, "It's a bird," but it's cool to see that, like, those connections forming that wouldn't have happened otherwise, right? If they wouldn't have made it in here and got to meet each other and all those things. So that piece is really cool too. Yeah.
shout out to Andy for his 400-pound deadlift.
Shout out to Andy for his 400-pound deadlift. He is our member. He's probably the member that we have that's been doing CrossFit the longest. We may have, if I am wrong in that, you are a member and listening, I'm sorry. But I know he's been doing CrossFit for at least 15 years. And it's been really cool to watch some of those progressions happen in those big lifts, and we're trending it that way. Mishka was our 200-pound female back squat, which is it's a solid number for male lifters to hit, and it's a cool. I love getting people to depth, but I love that we have, and I will say this is not unique to our space, right? Like CrossFit, you have the diversity of people who are brand new out right beside somebody who's been doing it for years. And the other day, we had our youngest member may or may not ditch school to be at CrossFit class, and she was working out next to her oldest member. It's not lost on me, right? Like we don't go out of our way to point it out, but to have the 16, 17-year-old work out right next to the 84-year-old is really freaking cool. And in fact, somebody else in the class made the joke of nobody has an excuse to not keep doing CrossFit now, at least till they turn 85, because that's if you can do it, right? And all of it is just about being better and feeling good and getting stronger. And the goal is shifting. So I'm excited to see where we go, within our community. And I'm glad we pulled the trigger on doing it. Then a journey for us this past year. We have a picture. We were actually, I'm gonna share this. I probably won't be able to share the picture. But when we were at a CrossFit competition, we were living back in South Carolina. And I believe we were I think Columbia, right?
We
Is
were,
where,
yeah.
And there was a small group of us that would always travel around and go do some local CrossFit competitions. And somehow a picture got taken of us where we were standing in this gym, like looking out in the horizon. And I remember you making a joke about we could do something like this someday. And I said, absolutely not. Like at that point, truthfully, moving was not on the radar. We had no intention of leaving Greenville. And all I could think in that moment was like, all the stupid things we get ourselves into. We're not opening a gym. And here we are. We've moved across the country and we've opened a gym. So we've come across that picture recently. Um,
We'll share it. We can share it on the video piece of it. Yeah.
and
Up in there.
it's fun. I'm excited about where we're going with this. I'm excited about some of the messaging that we're gonna get to do within that and would love any questions that come up or curiosities as we get into this. There wasn't really a specific topic today other than just kinda sharing where we're at and some of our philosophy with things, but would love to be able to answer those and some topics. Or maybe you're someone in our circle that knows us and have a gym and our bathroom for the clinic is through the gym. So everyone that comes in, like everybody's gonna walk to use the restroom. So if you're someone that maybe you know that it exists and you're like, all right, and you have more questions, like how we help people that are dealing with things or whatever that may be. We'd love to be able to answer those and come up with some topics, but we'll share more of our stories coming soon as well.